Okay, you're listening to On the Waterfront with Coach. I'm Marina Hernandez. I'm Coach's daughter. Dad, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking.
This is our show about life on the waterfront, people on the waterfront, our experience on the waterfront. And like I mentioned to you, so I got the very last job on First Dispatch just now.
Nice.
So I have a hatch clerk at China. So I'm going to be standing, I assume, most of the night.
Right. Dress warm.
Dress warm, yeah. And I wish that I had like some cushion in my shoes, some more cushion in my shoes, but I'll be all right. You know, I'm grateful to have a job this week on Monday, because last week I just had one day, we were really slow because of the tariffs.
Right. Work is really slowing down. Well, it has slowed down because of the tariffs, I believe. But we went to a meeting, foreman's meeting, a stop work meeting, as a matter of fact, and they said that the ships are going to be diverting them back to our port, and they expect pick up and work on June 21st, thereabouts. So things are looking bright.
Good.
But that's only a 90-day. They call it a 90-day extension, I guess.
Yeah.
Of the tariffs, and then we'll find out what happens.
Then
after
we'll
that.
see what happens.
Right.
But I assume that a lot of companies are going to want to try to get their things in right now, while they're at the 30% tariff, and then
Right.
we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I assume it'll be busy for the summer. That'll be nice.
Yes.
But I think you mentioned before, like our work, it goes up and down. Like work constantly is busy and then not busy.
Right. I experienced something like this in 1982. All my brothers and sisters that were in that group. I got in January. In the month of February, everything just dropped. I worked 3 days for the entire month of February, and about 2 weeks in March. I got bananas for February 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Then I didn't get out, and I was there day, night, did not get out. So we haven't experienced that here, but hopefully you guys would never have to experience that, because it was horrible. A lot of guys that were longshoremen, they decided to throw in the towel and look elsewhere, and they left the industry.
Well, that must have been really stressful for you, because yours truly was born March 1982, March 8th, 1982. So that was right. You had your very first daughter being born.
Exactly. And I don't think it was legal. As a matter of fact, I know it wasn't legal. That when we got in with that group, they had to sign a letter to quit our other job.
What?
So I was a teacher at Banning. I went to Mr. Hanley. I said, hey, listen, I'm going to be a longshoreman. He was all for it, and had to resign from being a teacher. And a lot of us resigned our jobs. And after that, I guess they implemented something that was not legal. So fortunately, the people that are getting out, they don't have to sign such letters.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
How stressful. Well, Here you are, a foreman.
Right.
Beautiful home, beautiful kids.
Exactly.
Yeah. You made it.
Made it.
You're making it.
We could make it. You guys can make it. Right now.
Stick it out.
Right now, some people are probably stressed out, especially guys that double back all the time. That other extra income's not coming in. But hang in there. Everything's going to work out.
That's right. Okay, so I only have a couple minutes. Well, maybe I said we have about 10, 15 minutes, because I got to get to my job. So let's talk about our guest, Vivian
Malauulu.
Thank you for helping me with that.
I hope I pronounced it correctly.
Malauulu. Buddy's correcting us, Vivian. Malauulu.
George. Sorry, George. George is her husband, and
George kick his ass.
Oh, man. George is a good friend of mine. He's a wonderful guy.
That's so cool. Yeah. So, Dad, wasn't that such an awesome interview?
It was a great interview.
Oh my gosh.
I've been trying to get a hold of Vivian for quite some time. And fortunately, I went to a foreman's meeting. We had a class, for first aid class. And lo and behold, George was in line, because he's going to become a clerk. And he was in line. I said, George, that's great. That's great. So I got to get a hold of Vivian. And that night she called me.
That's so cool.
We're so fortunate to have her on the program. She's awesome.
She riled me up. I was so pumped up. I felt like I was. Do you know who Tony Robbins is? That one guy who is like a motivational speaker. Do you know who that is?
No.
No. Okay. Well, I felt so motivated, like just being in the room with her and talking to her, like her energy was so great. Like I was ready to walk on fire for, like after that, I was like, yes, sign me up. I just felt so motivated, inspired by her.
Yeah, she's awesome. She's awesome. She ran for a lot of offices in the local, and first woman to be in several committees. And she was a welfare officer, and then, devoted like 5 years, I think she said 5 years of her time for that. And that was a stressful job. You have to make sure that the benefits are paid, and people will come down there, they're stressed out, and people that are lost a loved one and they're coming on child deceased, she's got to monitor that and make sure that all the ducks are lined up, that person is in line to get that job.
And she was definitely qualified for that job. She'll talk about it in the interview, but she definitely lined herself up to be perfectly qualified for that job, just with her personal experience going through the process.
Exactly. And then she mentioned a fellow that helped her out when she first became a welfare officer, Bruce Krieger, who was the guy that was represented us, and what a wonderful guy. He was the man.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool. Like a little nugget, because she's an immigrant from Honduras, and it was really funny and interesting to me, but also kind of cool that you were like, we're just talking, and then you're like, you could be the president. I believe you were referring to the ILWU, but her thinking is just, she's like, oh, I actually can't be the president of the United States because I'm not born citizen. Like she is at that level where she's thinking above and beyond.
Right,
I love that.
Right. She's highly educated, highly motivated. She's got everything lined up.
She sure does.
And if I would love to see her be the president of the ILWU, but I think her forte is more being involved with politics, because she's running for District Council 7, which represents West Long Beach and the Port.
So she would be representing, or she would be the Long Beach official representing our port.
Exactly. And she's going to have a big fundraiser coming up June 20th in San Pedro. And I encourage all of the listeners out there to please go there, attend, listen to what she has to offer, and you make the decision on if you think she's the right person. And believe me, she is the right person to represent local 13, 63, 94, all labor unions. She's sharp.
Yep. Couldn't agree more. So she was the first Latina elected to the Long Beach City Board of Trustees, first woman trustee and first woman benefits officer in Local 13, married 27 years, hands-on mom to 4 athletes. 2 of her daughters are going to be in the professional softball players.
They're professional softball players, 2 of the daughters. And one son is I believe she said he's playing at Fresno State, a wide receiver. And her younger son is a quarterback at St. John Bosco, who's one of the top high school programs in the nation.
That's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Like, what are these genes?
It's like she'll mention to her, I told her, they got their athletic ability from George, and she threw the chancla at me. And you'll know when she talks about the chancla what I'm talking about.
Have you ever had a chancla thrown at you, Dad?
Many times.
So she's also a career educator. As you know, we're a teacher. She worked a night shift longshoreman and a freelance journalist. Bachelor's in journalism, master's in education administration, and she's pending a doctorate in this is what's so interesting, this doctorate, skilled workforce development in the age of automation. And she has 1 year to go to do that. That's like, she's already on the cutting edge of learning and, research in that field.
Right. And automation is what our union is going to, have to hold on to and, be part of that program. And she's come up with some ideas that not only are going to help the longshoreman industry, but other labor unions too. So she's the right person for us.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I'm really looking forward to everybody listening to the interview. I think that it's going to be completely engaging. She's like I said, a ball of energy. You just feel so motivated.
Oh yeah. You'll fall in love with her. She's absolutely a fantastic person.
Yeah, and she's for women's rights and women's stuff. And if you're a man and you're not for that, if you have a daughter, Dad, don't you feel encouraged? Like, Yeah, I like, if you have a daughter, then she needs to listen to this.
Well,
These are women, like these women in leadership positions. Perfect example for any young daughter, young girl listening to.
right. Any young woman or man that's coming into the longshore industry, this program that we're going to give you today is it's well worth well worth to listen to. It's awesome.
Yep. All right. Well, I got to get to my job. So
Okay, you be careful.
thank you, Dad. I will.
Okay,
I'll be careful. All right, you guys.
here we go with Vivian.
Cap down rolling. All right.
Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. My name is Vivian Malauulu, and I'm also a registered longshore worker with Local 13 of the ILWU. My reg number is 133397. I've been on the waterfront since the 1997 hiring lottery, and I'm currently on the executive board, on the political action committee, and I am on the caucus. I'm also a trustee at Long Beach Community College District.
Thank you for being here, Vivian. Like the hoops that had to happen for us just to be here this tonight, like we were like in constant text communication just to be here. Because it's a little slow. So we're in the second week of June. It's a little slower this week at the hall because of whatever's been going on. So, we're like in constant communication about, can we do it tonight? Can we not? And so I'm so glad that we were able to make it happen.
No, I appreciate your flexibility. And you said something earlier in the week where you said the beauty is that we're both in the same industry. So we understand the schedule challenges. And unless you've been a casual and unless you've worked on the waterfront, you don't know what it's like to say, let's shoot for Friday, but if I get out, it might not happen, or we can try again later, or depending what break I get. So we're speaking the same language.
Totally. I know. That's what I love about it.
Great job.
Yeah.
The flexibility of this job is phenomenal.
Absolutely.
Right.
I've been back at the hall for, I think, 7 or 8 months now, and I have never been happier. I had forgotten how good we have it. I didn't realize what I was missing until I got back to it, and I realized, wow, we've got the best job in the world. Like tonight, signing the Hungry, you did that for the very first time. I love
I was
it.
like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm that girl that I'm like, I'll learn, I'll do it, I'll try it.
Yeah, well,
for sure.
I love being on the Hungry. I get some of the best jobs. You get called in, and you get to experience different things. So it's our jobs are amazing. I love it. I'm so proud to be a longshore worker. So proud to be ILWU and to be a product of the community. Coach was one of my teachers at Banning High School, and then he was my colleague. Not only did we were a part of the athletic department at Banning, but we also taught together. So this is a full circle moment for me.
I'm so proud of her. She's done a phenomenal job as a teacher and now as a longshoreman, and she's involved in all these different committees and everything. She's really put her nose to the grindstone and really wants to make the ILWU stronger than what it ever will be. And hopefully, I would like to see her run for president at one time.
Oh, no. I'm good. I'm good where I'm at. Baby steps.
Is that a definitely not, or a...
Well, so definitely not. I wasn't born in this country. So I know you asked me to share a little bit about myself.
Yeah.
So one of the things I say when I'm invited to speak places is I've got this opening line, and here it is. I was born Vivian Ramirez in San Pedro Sula, Honduras. I came to this country when I was 7 years old. I didn't speak any English. I became Vivian Williams. That is when my mother married my stepfather, who was an African-American petroleum engineer from Tallulah, Louisiana, and he adopted me. He gave me his last name. And then I became Vivian Malauulu when I married my husband, George, who is Samoan. So if you ever come to our family parties, it's like United Nations summits. We've got the music, we've got the culture. And just to add another layer of diversity to that, my biological father, who I do keep in touch with, in fact, I was just with him 2 weeks ago in New Orleans, but he is actually Palestinian. So I have an Arab background, and his family has roots from, French Arab roots. They're Greek Orthodox, Jews. So my family is very diverse. I've got cousins. If you ever look at my social media, my cousins will tag me on things that, sometimes I don't even understand the language because I have to go in there and look up, Arabic
Translate.
or French. Right. Very diverse. My kids are the benefactors of that diversity. George and I have 4 kids together, and my Honduran side, my African American side, my Arab side, and then the Samoan side. So our family parties really are United Nations summits.
Let's talk a little bit while we're on the subject about your children, because George was a great athlete at Carson High School.
That other school.
We're not going to talk about that. And then he went on to play at Arizona, and he's ambidextrous, throws right and left-handed. So I think that your kids probably got the gene from them, but I know that you ran track and you coached track, so they got a little bit of that also. Can you tell us a little bit about your girls?
I will, but Coach, I have a lot of love and respect for you, so I'm going to make one minor respectful correction there. Let me tell you, a lot of people think that our kids are athletic because of George. I'm not wearing it right now, but I have this charm on one of my necklaces that it's the chancla. Our kids are athletic because of the power of the chancla.
Okay.
When you see Tessa at third base doing this maneuver, or you see Jordan, who's at Fresno State, a receiver, they got those skills from me throwing the chancla at them.
The bob and the weaving.
That's right. So when they were little kids and they got out of control, I'd take that chancla and I'd throw it, and they learned to move like that. So some people think it's because their dad's a quarterback. I'm like, you guys don't know, man. It's that chancla.
Mm-hmm.
George, you're in the back seat now. It's the chancla.
That's right. Yeah. So, yes, thank you for that really warm commentary on our family. George and I have been really blessed. We've got 2 girls and 2 boys. Our girls are 25 and almost 23. Tessa will be 23 on Monday. And our boys are 20 and 16. The girls played D1 softball. Chloe at Mississippi State. Tessa at UCLA got her bachelor's, and then she had 1 year left of eligibility. So she went all the way across the country to Duke, got her master's. And now they're both playing pro softball.
Awesome.
And this is Chloe's 3rd year. And we are so delighted that the MLB is investing in professional softball. As you can see right now, I'm doing this podcast, and I've got the World Series right in front of me watching the Texas and Texas Tech game. But just all those little girls who were like my daughters were back in the day when they went through from T-ball to rec to all-stars, travel ball, high school. They really needed someone to look up to, and to have women representing at that level is just really heartwarming. And then the boys play football. Jordan graduated from Long Beach Poly. He's the receiver. He's now at Fresno State. He redshirted last year as a freshman, which was so difficult for him, but he worked really hard. He made the travel squad. So George and I did get to go to some of the away games, even though he was suited up, but he didn't play. So we look forward to him hopefully playing, as a sophomore this year. And our baby is 6'2". He's a freshman at St. John Bosco, and he actually made history. He was the first freshman ever to start as quarterback at Bosco.
Wow.
So we were really proud of him this year. And now, he and George are in Dallas, Texas right now. They just flew out today. They're there. He got invited to a showcase this weekend. We're always, trying to figure out who's going where with 4 kids who are athletic and involved.
The beauty about being a longshoreman is you can take the time off and do all the traveling, and then make the wages to cover that cost, because Marina played travel ball and I coach travel ball, and we travel to Florida, Arizona, Chicago. So it takes a lot of commitment, number one, but it takes a lot of time away from work. But being a longshoreman, that's the best job around to do what you're doing.
Yes, sir. And that takes me back to what we were saying earlier. I sacrificed a lot of time away from my family and away from my children during the time when I was in elected office. There were a lot of things that I got invited to do, or my family was doing, and I couldn't go because I really felt a strong responsibility to the membership. And I felt that, leaving early on a Friday to catch a flight is one thing, but there were, games in the middle of the week, or there were opportunities to travel. I was in office for 5 years before I took a vacation.
Wow.
And it was because it was our 25th wedding anniversary. So in 5 years, I didn't take a vacation. And George put his foot down and he said, we've been married 25 years. And it was nice. We went to Europe. It was our first time. We'd never been to Europe before. We went to Europe for 2 weeks. But of course, there was some sports attached to that, because the pro team that Chloe was on played the British team. So of course, yes, it was our wedding anniversary, but yes, we had to go watch our daughter play softball.
There in Europe?
Yeah, they played in England.
Cool. Wow.
So it was
that's pretty
neat.
cool.
Yeah, we flew out and we did Paris, we did Belgium, we did Amsterdam, and then we went to England where Chloe played, and then we came home. So we got to have the vacation beforehand, and then we watched her games, and that was nice. So it's still, we still connect sports to it, but
For sure.
at least we got to go.
So in those 5 years, George was doing all the traveling with
The majority of them.
Right.
Yeah, I caught whatever weekends I could. I
Right.
took a lot of red eyes on Friday nights, and then a lot of red eyes on Sunday nights, and I was back in the office on Monday morning. And I missed a lot. I used to volunteer at my kids' school. I was a substitute teacher, not for the money, but just to be there. I mean, my kids went to Valley Christian and Grace Christian, and I would substitute. I think it was honestly, maybe $40 a day. It was nothing. It was absolutely nothing. But I was there. I was there with them. I knew all their friends. I knew their teachers. I knew the activities. And it was fun. And I gave all that up. But I say all that to say that those sacrifices that a lot of officers make do it because we believe in the union and we love the union. And then we forget how great it is to be back at the hall, to be back back working off the floor.
Right. Thank God for the hall.
Amen.
Thank God for the hall.
Amen.
So that was when you were in office as the health and benefits officer?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yes. I know that you'd asked a little bit about that. I had served as trustee the year prior. I think, Coach, you had asked me about when I ran for benefits officer. Just in brief, when I was a casual and George was an ID, we had some issues with our medical benefits, and I didn't know what to do. I ended up filing a full and fair review, and I lost. It was denied. Again, I was a casual. I went knocking on people's doors. Everybody said, "You're a casual, get out of here." My husband's an ID. They didn't care. I took my issue all the way up to the international and basically got denied. So I learned what I needed to do to dispute that denial of the full and fair review. And I ended up taking that situation to an arbitration, and I won. And I had been told by officers in 2005, they said, "You're not going to win that. There's no way." And I won. And I was a casual. And I learned a lot. And then we had a different situation happen. When you have 4 kids, you're always doing something with medical benefits. We had another problem in 2011, and the benefits were denied. And it was this big thing. And I was like, well, I remember I had to do a full and fair review. I did it, and that was denied. I kept appealing. I went to the benefits officer. I went to the area welfare director. I was told, nope, you're not going to win that. Good luck. And I took it to arbitration again, but now I was an ID. George was a Class A member. I was an ID. I had more aptitude for resources, and I wasn't taking no for an answer. And I won that arbitration. And I learned a lot. And a lot of members were calling me saying, "Viv, can you help me? What about this?" Or "I heard you did this." And I would sit there. I remember being on the job because I've always worked nights. I've worked nights the entire time. And I remember being on the job helping people write letters, appeals. People would come to my house. And then in 2017, I was elected to trustee. And that's when I saw it with my own eyes, when I saw all the members coming to Local 13, frustrated, being turned away. They didn't understand the process. And then I'd help them. I'd say, "Meet me at the hall," or "Let's do this." And people were telling me then, "Hey, you should run for benefits." And I'm going, I don't want that. I have no background in healthcare. I'm a journalist. I'm a teacher. I'm a mom. I don't want to be in an office all day. And I didn't think I would win. So that was another thing. So I was like, I'll run, but I won't win. And I won. I won by a couple hundred votes. And I dove headfirst. Gave it my all, 24/7, 365, learned a lot, did maybe 350-ish full and fair reviews. Majority of them were upheld in favor of the member. And then I did 27 arbitrations. I won all 27 arbitrations. I spoke at 119 funerals for members. You know what, let me take that back. I attended 119 funerals. I think I may have spoken at about 40 or 50 of them. And even when I got out of office, I had members, families who were asking me "Hey, could you please I said, you have to go through the president. Then they would ask the president, Gary Herrera is always very gracious. And he says, sure, if that's who the family wants. But it was a great opportunity, great experience. People say, are you ever going to run again? Nope. There was a period of transition, and they ended up having 2 elections, and people asked, and I said, nope. That season is over. I'm in a new season.
Right.
I love being back at the hall. I love being back on the floor. It's slow, but it gives me an opportunity to do other things.
Yeah, I spoke with some members, and they speak very highly of you. That's why I wanted you to touch on something like you being the welfare officer. When I got in, there was a guy, his name was Bruce Krieger.
Oh, yeah. Bruce, I had his endorsement.
Oh, Bruce Krieger.
Yeah.
He was the man.
Yeah, he would come to my office. Paula, his daughter, would bring him. I think I saw him maybe about 3 months before I left office. But he would come to my office. He'd sit there. I'd ask him questions. What was it like? And he taught me a lot. He shared a lot of experiences. I learned a lot about my style, my administrative style of management from him. He was very encouraging. If I ever wanted to vent, he was like, call me.
Yeah, he was really smooth and really a person that took a lot of effort and really was did a great job for all the members.
Yeah.
Didn't matter who you were, you walk in and he would really help you out. So if you were part of him.
Yeah, I remember one time I used to make a lot of hospital rounds. I used to visit a lot of members in the hospital, which my family hated, by the way. My family absolutely hated it because I'd be at work for sometimes 10, 12 hours a day. Then I'd go, I got to go into Kaiser. I got to go to Torrance Memorial. I got to go to Lomita. And one time I ran into Bruce Krieger at a facility, and I look at him, he looked at me, and it was just like, he's like, what are you doing here? I go, I'm visiting a member.
Yeah.
But it was really endearing to me to have someone like that, to have his blessing.
Right.
Yeah.
And that seems like that position really deepened your connection, did it, to the union? Because you were really hands-on and involved.
Yeah, absolutely. I have so much respect for the membership. I've always had respect for the membership, but seeing the welfare and pension needs and seeing how hard people work and seeing, actually, let me tell you what really deepened my appreciation. It was the pandemic. Because I served during a time where I had 1,200 members on disability, 11 members out of Local 13 passed away, or the auxiliary connections, our sister locals. I attended every single one of those COVID funerals. I'm the only officer who went to all those funerals. And seeing how families couldn't be with each other in hospitals, seeing how healthcare workers were so overworked, seeing the lack of resources, it really made me feel this desperate need to always have someone in that office who, was willing to do whatever it took. I mean, during COVID, I was buying groceries for pensioners. I love my pensioners. I was teaching pensioners how to do mobile apps on their phone. I would go to the monthly pensioners meetings, and I would sit there and show them how to download apps on their phone so they could order things, picking up prescriptions for pensioners. There were some widows of deceased retirees, Spanish speaking, who didn't speak any English, and I would go to them and help them or fill out forms. So that experience there, it was very difficult. I remember driving home across the bridge crying. I would be crying. Sometimes I would be crying driving home because it was just so much. It was a very difficult time.
But you did a fabulous job.
Thank you.
And the membership should appreciate it. And on behalf of the membership, I thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you, Coach. No, I do. I have a lot of support from the membership. Thank you. Yeah.
And you mentioned now that you're in a different season, so you're saying no to any more offices, but then now you're in a different season. So tell us about that.
Oh, okay. I think you might be asking about that event right there. Yes.
I am, yes.
So I've been on the college board for almost 10 years. I am in my third term as an elected official in Long Beach. I was a journalism professor at Long Beach City College. I was on the executive board. I helped found the Trades Advisory Council at LBCC, and there was an opening on the board, and thanks to the Faculty Association and the ILWU who supported me in that first campaign, I was successful. And I had no aspiration to run for political office, but I saw the need, and I felt that the path to victory was there. So in 2015, I decided to open a committee to run for college board, and in 2016, I became the first Latina elected to the community college board. And has been an experience because the west side of Long Beach is a very unique community comprised of working families, very marginalized communities, a lot of blue-collar workers, a lot of teachers, a lot of nurses. In fact, the event I'm coming from right now is the opening of a carpenter apprenticeship center in Carson. And we at Long Beach City College have a project labor agreement which guarantees local hire until 2041 for the community. So we're in partnership with all the building trades. And tonight's event that I was just at, tomorrow there's going to be a training for anyone who wants to become a carpenter. But that's made possible here locally because we advocated for that. Because we said, we don't want to send our students to Riverside. We don't want to send our students to downtown LA. We don't want them to have to go to San Diego. Why can't you do that apprentice program here? Mm-hmm. And they did. We pushed and they delivered. And now there's this great opportunity for high school students and community college students to come out there and get a job where in the first year you could be making $100,000. And they train you and they pay you. So those are some of the things that West Long Beach really appreciates, some of the opportunities that we've created. Well, now there's a new opportunity that has opened up. So after 10 years and 3 terms on the college board, I'm being called to step up and run for city council to represent the same community, the same part of Long Beach, except instead of it being a trustee area 2, now it's city council district 7. And it includes the Port of Long Beach. And as you know, the Port of Long Beach right now, with everything that we're facing with automation, it is imperative that we have not just a union member, but an ILWU member sitting on that dais.
Yes, 100%.
For sure. Mm-hmm. For sure. We have the right person sitting on that board now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, thank you for that. Yeah. I hope so. My campaign kickoff is on Friday night, June 20th. It'll be held at Port Town Brewery in San Pedro. It's hosted by ILWU Locals 13, 63, 94, and District Council. And we hope to have as many members there as we can. There will be some guests, some VIP guests that are coming down. There'll be surprises. The event is from 6 until. It's a Friday night.
Okay.
There will be a program at 7 p.m. We're shooting for like maybe a 30, 40-minute program, hopefully. But you know how people are when they get on the mic.
Right. Well, we will be there for sure.
Thank you so
much. For sure. We will be there.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You have my full support. So
Thank
any
you.
listeners out there, Coach gives 100% endorsement to Vivian. She's a fabulous person.
I appreciate it. I've got to fundraise a lot of money. Political campaigns are very expensive. All the funds go toward voter outreach, mailers, canvassing, precinct walking, phone calls, just literature, all of that, campaign strategist, consultant, being able to connect with the community and having the resources that you need. Lawn signs are expensive, election day is 362 days from today. Mm-hmm. It's on June 2nd, 2026. And I have a lot of support, a lot of endorsements, but I need to raise a lot of money to be able to finance this campaign.
So for the people who can't make the event but would like to donate, we can put that in our show notes. Your QR code, would that go to like a donation page?
Absolutely. Okay. I have a link. There's several ways that you can contribute. You can contribute scanning the QR code on your smartphone. You can click on the link. You can actually, look me up, for fundraising. But be careful because I know that there are scams. And in fact, last night, a membership meeting, a couple of members just gave me checks. You can also mail a check. Some people are old school. I know my mom, she makes political contributions to candidates, but she only writes checks. Mm-hmm. She will not click on a link. Mm-hmm. She's like, I don't know where that link is going. She's like, I'm going to write you a check. And when she's been around with me, she's met a lot of people, and she's like, I think I'm going to send him a check. I like the way she speaks. So my mom gets, really
So your
involved.
mom's involved too with you, huh?
My mom lives in Torrance.
Okay.
But I grew up in Carson, and we were always in Carson. It's just been in recent years that she's been in Torrance, but she comes around a lot. She's always my plus one because George is busy with the kids, or my kids are like, Mom, we have to go to another political event. So I end up taking my mom. So she's met a lot of people, on the road, and she has a lot of friends. People recognize my mom.
How cool.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you about your platform, I guess, that you're running on, but I want to preface that by saying that you are going to, what college do you go to now for your doctorate?
Okay, all right. So that's a great segue. So I am almost done with a doctorate that I started in 2001. So I went to Banning, graduated, let me take it back. I went to Banning, graduated in 1992, went straight to Cal State Northridge, graduated in 96, got a bachelor's in journalism, worked in the industry, didn't really like it. Loved writing, but I didn't like TV news, but I do love radio news. I worked in radio for a long time. And then I started teaching, went and got my master's in educational administration from Cal State Dominguez. I have 4 teaching credentials, professional clear, I've got an administrative services, a B-clad, I've got a workforce education credential, and I taught, became a casual, would longshore at night, never wanted to give up teaching. When I became an ID, I was still teaching, but I went to part-time, which at the high school level, it's really easy to do. I was teaching 3 periods a day at Banning, and I was an ID doing my 70% at night. And in there, we had 4 kids. So one day, my husband comes home. He was a Class A member, and George, my husband, is very relaxed, very easygoing, soft-spoken. I mean, even if he wasn't my husband, I'd still want to be his friend. I don't know how he puts up with me. I'm like the hot-headed Latina.
The yin and the yang, that's the balance.
I've got fuses everywhere. He's got one long fuse, like the cartoon. It takes a long time for the fuse. Mine is like pew, pew, pew. One day he comes home and he's like, something's got to give. He's like, you're either going to be a longshoreman or a teacher. You're not doing both. He's like, something's got to give. And I'm like, ain't no man going to tell me what to do. Ain't nobody. This is my career. This is my education and blah, blah, blah. And I resigned from LA Unified, retired, whatever the terminology was at the time, and just focused on longshoring. But then I love education, and I refused to give it up. So I went and got myself a job as an adjunct at Harbor College. And then from there, I taught at Cal State Dominguez. And then I got hired at LBCC to teach journalism. And I did that for several years, and it was the time of my life. All the while, one of my personal goals was always to get a doctorate. That was just always on my radar. And I started, funny story, so our oldest daughter was born in 2000. And, a year later, I applied to doctoral programs, and I started one. And then I found out I was pregnant. I started school in September, found out I was pregnant with number 2 in October, and I'd had a really difficult pregnancy with Chloe. And I remember thinking oh my gosh, now I've got this 15-month-old, and if I'm gonna be throwing up all day, I'm not gonna be able to go to school and teach and work. So I called the program and I said, hey, I'm gonna have to, I can't do it. I'm gonna have to withdraw and I'll come back later. Okay, we understand. So a couple years later, they called me, and I was like, yeah, I think I'm ready. The girls were 4 and 2. I'm feeling pretty good. I got a routine going. I think I'm ready to go back to school. And then I get pregnant again with number 3. So I tell them, I'm like, you're not going to believe this. And they're like, what? So I ended up withdrawing for a second time. And then I didn't go back for several years. And then in 2019, I started again, and COVID hit. And my job was already very demanding in benefits, but then COVID just took it to a whole nother level.
Right.
And I just couldn't. Now, all those years that I didn't go to school, it was because we were prioritizing our kids' education. Our kids went to private school. Having 4 kids at Grace Christian and Valley Christian, was a pretty penny, even for 2 longshoremen. right? I mean, there were times where off the top, our tuition was more than our mortgage. So it was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to go to school. We don't get financial aid. We don't qualify. So I was like, okay, so I put my education on hold. And then when COVID hit, I was like, yeah, forget it. And then a couple of years ago, I was like, we only have COA at home. Jordan graduated, went to college. We just had the one tuition to pay at Bosco. I'm like, I'm ready. So I started back up, and it was the best thing because originally I was getting a PhD, which takes longer and involves way more research. And what I did is I pivoted to an EDD, which is instead of a doctor of philosophy, now I'm going to be a doctor of education. And I pivoted because it's a shorter program. Instead of a 6-year program, it's a 3-year program. And because what I decided to study was going to be much more applicable to our jobs. So my dissertation is on skilled workforce development in the age of automation. And the reason why I'm doing it, originally I was actually studying leadership and women in leadership roles, and I was going to be a doctor of philosophy to speak on, the plight of women and unions. And I feel like while that is a great and noble subject, I feel like skilled workforce development in the age of automation is more relevant to men and women.
Right.
And being a doctor of education in a field that you and I, have a connection, our livelihood, I felt like that was way more relevant. So I hit the ground running. I'm at the end of the first stage. I'm actually in summer session now. I have a 4.0 after my 2.5 years of 4.0, and then this fall I'll start my research, and hopefully I'll be defending a dissertation next year.
So what's tell me about that research part of it.
Sure. So in the doctoral program, and by the way, I'm at Arizona State University, which George hates. So, the Banning-Carson rivalry was not enough. I went to Banning, he went to that other school, so then he went to Arizona. Now I'm going to what he says is the other school. So Arizona State. So we just like to make it fun, right?
Right.
So I'm at Arizona State, and the leadership and innovation component of that doctorate involves being a practitioner, which is what I am. As a community college trustee, as a former community college professor, as a longshore worker, I check the boxes for everything that I need to be able to develop an innovation, which is what I'm creating. My goal is to create an innovation that will be a blueprint for other labor unions. So, for example, I'm going to talk about carpenters because I was just there today. I could talk about electricians, pile drivers, iron workers, pipe fitters, teamsters, truck drivers. I can talk about firefighters, police officers. This blueprint is going to be used anywhere. You know why? Because automation is here and automation is everywhere. So the blueprint that I'm creating is a program that will be sustainable so that any labor union can take skilled workforce development, can take training to be able to protect and preserve jobs by having their workforce trained and taught on this equipment, knowing the M&R, knowing how to repair it, knowing what is needed to implement it, and being able to say, look, the longshore workers at the Port of LA and Long Beach have this blueprint that they're using with the community college, which community colleges are everywhere, with the community college, that they can send their students to training at Long Beach City College, or you could send your students to Rio Hondo or El Camino or anywhere. Side note, there's an Association of Community College Trustees, ACCT. I'm on a national board of ACCT. I had to run for that position. I'm elected. I'm on my second term. So, there are 1,800 community colleges in the country, 4,000 community college trustees in the country, and I've been able to effectuate change through my involvement on this national board to be able to say, we have to prioritize skilled workforce development. Community colleges is, for every engineer that a university graduates, and here we've got Buddy who's a civil engineer, so he knows this better than I do. My dad was a petroleum engineer. For every engineer that Cal State Long Beach or Cal State Northridge or UCLA graduates, a community college graduates 10 technicians. So 1 engineer and 10 technicians. And these are the jobs that go into the trades. And these folks, college is not for everybody. Not everybody has the mental capacity and aptitude to sit there and do academic work. But people love to work with their hands, and they love to work outdoors. And we know that because we're longshore workers. We love being out in the elements. We enjoy that. So there's 10 technicians for every engineer. For every architect, for every blue-collar worker, we need 10. So the program that I'm creating and designing, and it can be used in other industries as well, but it is to help our industry remain viable, to make sure that we continue to have jobs, so that we know that we've got longshore workers, whether it's taking cones off a container, whether it's driving a UTR, driving trans, that those jobs we don't automate ourselves out of jobs because we have the skilled workforce that's already there and developed. We have a partnership, industry partnership with terminal operators, with the community college. We've got the investments from the state and our federal workers, our legislature. So we've got the program in place so that these jobs don't fall to the wayside.
Wow, that's intensive.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah,
It's
that's
a lot.
Wow. So how do you see? So let me just say that aside, I didn't know that we were going to talk about this, but I met with my girlfriend Kathleen, and her son is going to be a senior in college. In high school, and he got an internship, a summer internship with the ports. And so she had been going through all these programs and seeing what was being offered. She's just a very proactive mom. And she told me over lunch, she was like, I'm just so impressed with how much the ports are prepared. It's really a focus now on preparing these kids in different capacities to be a part of the port. And so that sounds a lot like what you're talking about, and this was a side conversation, so I already see the connection that it's already being applied.
Absolutely. Yesterday was commencement at LBCC, and I was on the platform, on the commencement platform, and I got texts from our union sisters and brothers like, hey, Viv, I see you. My son's graduating. My daughter's graduating. And some of these are students that went through the Long Beach College Promise or live outside of the area and were able to enroll at LBCC, who will now be going on to Cal State Long Beach or any other university, four-year transfer university, and have guaranteed jobs with the City of Long Beach or the Port of Long Beach through the Long Beach College Promise. We're also working on housing and food insecurity. We're trying to eliminate as many barriers as we can. Just to give you an example, my first year on the board, we graduated 800 students. Last night, 1,500.
Wow.
And that's because we doubled down on removing obstacles such as, kids who were couch surfing, didn't have anywhere to live. Kids who were hungry, now we have a food pantry. Sometimes all they need is to have their car repaired. We've got a foundation who raises money because we don't want to have a student drop out of school because he doesn't have a car to get to school. We'll help you get a muffler. Don't drop out of school. And then we have parents who don't have daycare. Well, guess what? We have a partnership with the Boys and Girls Club that will watch your kid while you're on campus going to get your degree so that you can become a nurse, so that you can provide for your family and raise that generational cycle for your family. Because education, people say education is a great equalizer. I don't believe that. I think education breaks that equalization cycle. I think education can catapult you and change the trajectory of your life. Education is I'm very passionate about education, which is why I'm studying it and continue to work hard to educate our membership. But having that power and knowing that, you can go to any community college, right? Shameless plug. I think LBCC is the best one, but you can go anywhere. And you don't have to have a high school diploma. You don't need to have a prerequisite. You can be any age you want. I was the first professor to teach the social media class at Long Beach City College to seniors, adult, lifelong learners. I had students, I had 12 students in my social media class. Their average age was 67, 72, somewhere in there. And I asked them on the first day, why are you here? And they all said the same thing, because I want to connect with my kids and my grandkids on Facebook. They all said the same thing. No one said anything other than, I want to be able to see what my grandkids are doing on Facebook. Because back then, when I taught the class in 2014, it was Facebook. It wasn't as much Instagram or TikTok, but they wanted to see what their kids and grandkids were doing on Facebook. So that's a skill now. You can get paid. You can be a social media influencer. So, I know that we've kind of digressed and talked about different things, but the partnership that we have with, for example, your friend Kathleen, the Port of Long Beach, right? Long Beach City College is one of only 17 Maritime Center of Excellences in the United States. And Long Beach City College is one of them here. And we have this incredible partnership with the airport, Long Beach Airport, with the port, where we teach cybersecurity. We are national champs in gaming. Gaming is a sport, esports. We've got 55-year-old students and we've got 19-year-old students who are national champs in esports on the same team. I've got my esport jersey. I was trying to figure out how to play the game.
That's video game, like champ in video games.
Girl, yes.
Oh,
gosh. They
but
kicked
look at
my
Buddy
butt.
Naughty, I know that.
Yeah, they kicked my butt. We were playing this soccer game, and I was like, I got boys who play. I got this. Oh, no. They came behind me with a soccer ball, and boom. And I was like, well, that's not fair. Let the trustee win.
yeah, exactly. So just going back to your mission to be the councilwoman for District 2.
Seven, yeah.
Okay.
It's Long Beach City Council, District 7.
Okay, so what, like I was asking a little prior, your platform, how do you feel like you're going to benefit the community in that? Because I feel like you will, but I know that you have a very well thought out answer that people should hear, not just because they know you, but because they feel it in their heart that, oh, this woman is going to do something.
Well, I really appreciate that question. My husband and I have lived in Long Beach since 2000. Not only is District 7 my backyard, but it's also my bread and butter. We work for the Port of Long Beach. We live in West Long Beach. The 710 freeway is on the other side of the LA River from my house. I live on San Francisco Avenue, which is the last street along the LA River, and then you've got the 710 freeway. So I know all about the air quality. I know all about, in fact, I freelanced for years. In 2007, I published a story in the Signal Tribune about some of the elementary schools on the west side have the highest rate of asthma for Long Beach Unified School District. And I said, as a longshore worker, our industry needs to do better for these communities. That was 10 years before I got on the college board. That was 10 years, 20 years before I even thought about running for city council. But I've always been an advocate for the community, an advocate for working families. And I think that having a city council person who is active, involved, engaged, I feel like a lot of people know our family, our kids are, I'm the mom that's outside yelling at my kids, come home. The street lights are on. Where are you guys at the parks? Having someone that they can access and reach who understands the importance of working families and blue-collar workers, and someone who actually is a blue-collar worker. I'm a card-carrying, dues-paying, meeting-attending union member. And West Long Beach has a large propensity of voters who are union members. Having someone, it's hard to be what you can't see, right? That's what I tell my kids. If you can't see somebody, it's hard for you to become that. Well, it's hard for people to relate to someone who doesn't speak their language, doesn't understand their struggle. Look, my work is slow right now too. The tariffs, the economy is affecting my livelihood, my bread and butter, my paycheck. So I know what these families are going through. And having children who have been through every possible school system, from private Christian school to my girls went to St. Anthony High School, Catholic school. They went to Bernie Elementary School around the corner from my house. My son went to Poly, Long Beach Poly. And then having them at the university level, having an educator, a teacher. I just feel like our community in West Long Beach deserves to have that voice of the mom who is also balancing family and balancing work. And I hope that the residents, especially in all the different neighborhood groups that I've, been attending our neighborhood meetings. We have lots of neighborhood meetings, right? I think every community has them. But we have different neighborhood groups, and being able to support them as a trustee on the college board, being able to sponsor some of their events, being able to attend and bring resources into the community for the past 10 years. I think that also has proven my commitment to improving the lives of working families in West Long Beach.
You're a true representative of that community.
Right, thank you.
To the max.
To the max.
To the max. There's no
Thank
other.
you.
Yeah, you're
We're definitely
fully-
going to have to go out and support her. It's going to be June 20th at the Port Town Brewery in San Pedro. I expect all longshoremen, all people from Long Beach, from everywhere, to support her because she's one person that she has her heart into this, and that's what we need.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Coach. And you know what? I'm a product of you and what you poured into the education system, just like your wonderful children. I mean, look, as a father in the community, as an educator, you work on the docks. I mean, you and I, we have parallel lives. So it's really special. This is, like I said, it's a full circle moment. This is very special to me, knowing that a kid from Banning High School, and by the way, Tanua Thrash, councilwoman Tanua Thrash Untuck, graduated from Banning. I graduated in 92. She graduated in 93. She is on Long Beach City Council.
Oh, great.
She got elected last year, so she's the first Banning pilot on the Long Beach City Council, and I do have her support. Her husband is my colleague on the college board. I'm very fortunate to have their partnership in the community, but we've got Banning pilots doing big things.
For sure. For sure.
Oh, thank you for saying those kind words
Yeah.
to my dad. Dad, I do feel like
Thank you. I appreciate that.
you know, fight back tears.
As you get older, you get real emotional on things like
Right.
this, right?
Right.
There's a foreman, Leslie Winston.
Oh, Leslie,
Yeah, Leslie, what a wonderful person. She goes, hey, coach. She goes, look, do you know who this guy is? And I vaguely remember, he goes, it's Shazar. And I go,
Shazar Hawkins.
Shazar Hawkins.
He went to Oregon, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he graduated with me, class of 92.
Right. Well, so he said, look, so she's going to get married to him. And I go, the Winston family, the Hawkins family. I mean, so I called him and I congratulated him and everything. But, he was such a great guy. And she's such a
I love
wonderful
them both.
person.
Yep.
Yeah, Shazar Hawkins.
And he shared with you some ways that you really influenced him.
Yeah. He said that, he was thankful that I helped him there. And his parents were really nice parents. His dad, I believe, was a vice principal somewhere. And the mom, I remember she gave me a bouquet of flowers or something. And she said, thank you for making Shazar a star. I'm getting emotional right now. Because,
I'm right there with you. I feel that's my class.
Yeah.
I've known Shazar since Curtis Junior High School.
Right.
We went to Curtis together.
Right.
I went to Curtis for a year, 7th grade, and then I went to Dodson, 8th and 9th grade.
Right.
So
We have a lot in common.
Yes, sir.
And
Yeah.
also, I feel like I do too.
Yeah.
I told you that I have my master's in education
Yes.
administration, similar to you, and I feel like I'm on the same. I don't know this. I feel like this is a good group, right?
Yeah,
It's a great
I do
group.
This is a
too.
very strong group here.
Strong group.
And Marina, I'm glad you brought that up because I was actually going to encourage you to bring that up. I can't tell you how important it is for you to get involved in the union. I've been trying for so long to recruit strong, educated, independent women to step up. And I get it. A lot of women don't want to. A lot of women are too busy. They are rightfully so focusing on their families. They're focusing on getting their hours, and I don't blame them. And it's difficult, especially if you don't have support. I was very lucky because I had a husband who supported me, who understands that that's my passion. I give him space. He's all into sports, and he has his nonprofit, Ainga Foundation, and I give him space. Well, he gives me space. He knows how much I love public service. He knows how much I love labor union involvement. He gets that. But if we can just find other sisters to step up. One of my favorite quotes from Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the notorious RBG,
Right.
is women belong in all places where decisions are being made. And I love that quote because there were times where I was at an e-board meeting and I was the only woman there that day. I'm on the PAC. I'm the only woman on the Local 13 PAC. I'm on the caucus. I'm the only woman on the caucus. So women belong in all places where decisions are being made. And we need sisters like you to step up. And you know how I started? I cut my teeth on district council. District council meets once a month on Wednesday evening. And I was like, I think I can manage that. I remember talking to George. I said, I feel like I want to step up and serve the union and more than just volunteering at Bloody Thursday or Labor Day. And when I ran for district council, I really didn't know what I was getting into. And then I went to my first district council meeting, and I remember I couldn't sleep that night. I was so excited. I was like, wow, it's the legislative and political arm of the ILWU from Fresno to Mexico and from Nevada to the coast. And I did all these things, and I learned so many things on district council. And I go, if everybody can do that for a couple of years and then try something different, run for e-board or run for something else. Can you imagine somebody with your education and your background and your passion and what you're doing with this podcast to get the message and the education out to the membership? Sister, we need you.
Thank you for saying that. I'm interested. I'm definitely interested. I think what blocks me is I don't really know what that path is. I don't even know how to.
I got you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I would love for you to be my mentor.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, it's confirmed.
You're in now.
Yes.
You're in.
Because that is, like, I was on student council. I do a lot at my kids' school. Like, I'm very involved, but it just felt like I would like to be more involved with the union. I definitely would. So if you would guide me, then I would definitely love to do that. And then I would pay it forward for anybody who wants to come and ask me how I got involved or even follow my steps. I think as this podcast goes on, we can talk about that in the intro of how I'm getting involved. And then maybe somebody listening can kind of be inspired by that or follow along. So
Absolutely.
Follow my journey into this.
Absolutely.
Into the union. I'm in.
Absolutely. We have lots of events. I'm going to send you some links for things that you can get involved in now. And slowly but surely, you're going to start to build your union resume. And next thing you know, you're going to be president of Local 13.
Hold on.
Pump the brakes.
Pump the brakes. What baby steps, baby? I'm not saying no, but baby steps.
That's right.
Well, thank you so much, Vivian. What a pleasure speaking with you. And we definitely have to speak to you again as you get in your 300, maybe in the
362 days, right?
Somewhere in that 300, 350 days as we get closer.
Absolutely.
We would love to have you back on and talk about your progress.
Well, our ground campaign will start in January. So I would love to come back in January because we're going to have a call for volunteers. We're going to start our precinct walking. We're going to have a campaign headquarters. We're going to need a lot of help, boots on the ground, to go out there and knock on doors and, do all the things that require, people, manpower. Right now, we're in the early campaign stages where we're building up endorsements and we are building up our war chest, finances, so we can fund the campaign. And then as we get closer to the year, I've got 19 fundraisers on the calendar between now and December 31st. That event is my kickoff. That's the big one. That's the big kickoff. But then I have a couple of family fundraisers. I've got my high school friends are going to do a fundraiser for me. My kids, I'm getting emotional. My kids' softball teams. One of the moms on the football team is like, Viv, we're going to do a football fundraiser for you. I've got a port logistics with the port community that's doing a fundraiser for me in August. When I ran for college board, I had 5 fundraisers. And let me tell you, my first one was in Carson. Lori Carter was a cheerleader with me at Banning. She owns Juicy Juice. She hosted, I had a kickoff event in Long Beach, but she hosted a first one for like our childhood friends. And then I had one in Wilmington at Ojas. All my high school friends, we had a fundraiser there. And then I had one in San Pedro. Diane Middleton hosted a fundraiser for me at her beautiful home. And then I had a holiday one where we went out on a boat to look at the Christmas lights. And that was our sports families hosted. So I had all these different fundraisers. And then ILWU came through with the Get Out the Vote fundraiser a week before Election Day. And man, I just remember there was no place to park. There were so many people there. District Council had phone banking days. So I'm hoping that we can lean into that experience and that momentum. A lot of people don't know how to get involved. The very first political campaign that I ever volunteered for was Dr. Richard Vladovic when he ran for school board. He's San Pedro native. His daughter, Kim Vladovic, and I went to Dotson together. She, my age, graduated from San Pedro. When he was running for office, I got a text saying, hey, come volunteer. And I showed up and I started doing phone calls. I'd never done that before. And then No on 32. When the union did the No on 32, I was the phone banker in Spanish. I went down to Local 13 and I started calling people, voten no por la 32, por favor. No voten, es malo para los trabajadores. Like I was sitting there. So I learned. And now you can just give me a precinct. I just go knock on doors. I make phone calls. Now it's just second nature. But the more you do it, and then you realize how important it is, the easier it gets.
Well, I'm in. Marina's in. Buddy's in.
All right.
Yes.
You have our full support.
Thank
We'll
you.
be there June 20th. What's the
Awesome.
location? Port Town Brewery.
Yes.
It's 285 West 7th Street, San Pedro. Starts at 6. Program starts at 7.
You will see us there for sure.
will be there.
Excellent. Thank you. And thank you to your listeners, your viewers. Thank you to everyone tuning in. I love this. I think we should support programs like this and get the word out. Share the link.
Yes.
I can't wait to see. I saw the podcast that you did with Yolanda Nuhi. I love her.
Isn't she the best?
I love her.
Oh,
So I had
know.
already seen that when
Good.
Coach called about being
Oh.
on this podcast. I'd already seen that
You
one.
had? Oh,
yeah,
cool.
I'd already seen it. So-
Fun. I know somebody stopped me at the gas station and they're like, hey, I just watched your podcast. I'm like, oh, cool. That's
Yeah.
so awesome. Because my social media skills are not that great. And I know that's how you're supposed to get the word out. But I think with our Longshore community, it just spreads. You know,
Right,
one
right.
person hears about it and it just spreads. So I'm hoping that that's how the word's getting out. So.
Yeah.
And you're going to take this to the different level.
Well,
our
let's
podcast.
International.
hope that we
Yeah.
can build on something together.
We'll do it.
I agree. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Blessings to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to On the Waterfront with Coach.
And for more content, you can follow us on our Instagram page, On the Waterfront Pod, and you can listen to us on Spotify and Apple Podcast.
We'd appreciate if you subscribe and follow.
And thank you lastly to our partners at the Arts and Cultural Alliance for letting us use their beautiful building.
Thank you, Uncle Harry.